the Hedgehog, one of the biggest video game mascot success stories of the 90s. And arguably one of the biggest crap storms of the 2010s.
Sonic!
Between the increasingly crap games, the how did this get past the pitch meeting unless all those involved look like this, we somehow call a TV show, and...
Meow?
One has to wonder why Sega even does all this to begin with. Either way, arguably one of the bigger mishaps to happen to Sonic in recent memory was the cancellation of the Archie comics series, the longest-running comic series based on a video game. While I've not enjoyed the continuity reboot a few years back for specific reasons, I've since made my peace about what's happened since then, and the IDW comics have done a pretty good job filling in that Sonic comic void. Like, a really good job, despite some baggage. And yet, despite all of that, can't really help but think back to the good old days. The primitive times of the internet, Sprite comics, Newgrounds, the biggest controversy being Shadow with a gun. Those were the good old days. If only there was a way to live through that. Well then, here you go! Wow, is that a tablet containing Archie Sonic number 134, arguably one of the most controversial Sonic comics from the 2000s? Indeed it is. I will in no way question this, nor who you are. Ah, the Stephen Moffat approach. Anyway, without further ado, welcome to the Puzzled Boys review of Archie Sonic number 134. The cover is... a cover, alright, in the style of a movie poster, with all the subtlety of a soap opera, with a giant Sonic looking behind Sally as her hair is waving in the wind. Ah! Stupid wind machine! So long, Sally. I'm heading off to join IDW. I'm sure nothing terrible will come of that whatsoever. Time will come. This time will come. We start in Castle Acorn's Royal Infirmary, where Sonic and Dr. Quack are conversing about a previous story arc where Sonic wound up in space. Which is probably the 8th weirdest thing this franchise has ever done. Tossed in space, huh? To the far side of the universe? And just to be sure, aliens created the roboticizer. But when you put the last one like that, it sounds like the 7th weirdest thing this franchise has ever done. The artwork was done by John Gray, one of the first Sonic fans brought on board thanks to this weird thing called the World Wide Web. Or as we call it nowadays, the Internet. He is very different from the typical mold of Sonic art, and he is one of the better artists when it comes to early 2000s Archie Sonic. That said... John Gray's art style has a notable classic cartoon influence. Think Disney, Looney Tunes, Tom and Jerry, so on. You tend to notice a lot of over-exaggeration with his artwork, as shown by Sonic's reaction when he finds out the Babelfish he got, again, back when he was in space, has fused with his brain, as well as a certain other scene we'll get to later. In other words, the soap opera influence this story has does not lend its way to Gray's art style. At all. Either way, some more continuity is pointed out, as Sonic's time in space meant he was considered dead on Mobius for an entire year. Since then, Knothole's gone from a village into a city, and Eggman's beefed up his offense. The weirdest thing is, everyone keeps having the same nightmare every night. Either way, since the Babelfish isn't causing any harm anyway, and surgery would just make things worse, Sonic's given a clean bill. Doc, did you just give me your... And heads out to find waiting Sally, Uncle Chuck, and his parents. Yeah, Archie Sonic, at least the original continuity, is one of two, well, three, if you want to get obscure, continuities to actually give Sonic real parents. And honestly, I really don't mind it. In fact, I love it, especially in this context. The entire point of SAT-AM was these young adults slash teens being left on their own to fend for themselves, fight this war. It makes sense for these characters to have family that they miss in some way, hoping they can get them back, if they even can. I mean, what more can I possibly add to that? We find out through Queen Alicia, Sally's mother, that the city's doing a celebration honoring Sonic's return. And then Sonic and Sally kiss. Oh, Alicia, don't they make such a cute couple? It makes a mother proud, Bernadette's. What iceberg? I don't see any icebergs in the way. None. After being temporarily blindsided by paparazzi, the Hedgehog family make it home and head to Sonic's bedroom, which his mother and father couldn't bear to change out of grief. The family then suddenly disappears, leaving Sonic in his bed. We suddenly get a panel of black, then we see Sonic yawning, and then suddenly Mutsky shows up in front of Sonic, and oh, my head. Also, I will admit, I do kind of like how they gave attention to a character as obscure as frickin' Mutsky, whose only appearance in the franchise at that point was the SAT-AM pilot. Anyway, due to the aforementioned Babelfish, Sonic can understand Mutsky now. And Sonic doesn't take it too well, running to his family. Mom! Dad! Uncle Chuck! I just came to check if you were downstairs! As you were! Mutsky can talk! I know a lot of things changed while I was away, but this is ridiculous! I find it funny how out of everything in this universe, magic jewels and rings, flesh and blood that can be turned into machine, time travel, aliens, parallel universes, and the fact that not only does magic exist in the world of technology, but magic can be used to control technology, it's a talking dog that Sonic finds ridiculous. I don't even know what to say to that. Wait one cotton-picking second. That sounds like nothing Sonic would ever say. That doesn't even sound like something the current incarnation of Sonic would say. It's got to be the alien implants, allowing us to understand each other. There's no other explanation. And in the interest of ridiculousness, here are some alternate explanations. After realizing that, he then, almost randomly, throws a bit of an exposition dump about the aforementioned roboticizer creating aliens, the BEM. Oh, I get it. He brings up another bit of continuity about them ending up de-roboticizing everyone except Jules, Sonic's father. And apparently, the de-roboticizing process is basically Windows System Restore, turning Robians put through the process into the exact same Robians they looked like right before they were roboticized. And because Jules suffered major injuries prior to his roboticizing, well, take a wild guess what would happen if the process was reversed. Yeah. Oh look, a cameo from Short Fuse to Cybernick, the no 2004 American Sonic fan would ever get. He visits Tails, which doesn't serve much purpose other than to go, hey, your parents are still alive, okay, thanks, bye. And then we cut to the night of the celebration, and Sonic meeting up with Sally's father, King Max. The Kingdom of Acorn officially welcomes you home, my boy. Thanks, sire. Also, do you float? What? A simple question, really. Do you float? Okay, you can slide, I'll let him know that. Look at the SAT-AM cast, it's hopefully a little bit funnier than it sounds. On a side note, it looks like Sally contracted some Youngblood's disease in the past few hours. Anyway, on stage, the king brings up that he and Alicia will be heading around the planet in order to find allies against Eggman, and leaves Sally as acting ruler. Oh, and hey, it's Techno the Canary and Ebony the Cat from the Fleetway comics, and even Amy seems to be in her Fleetway outfit. Neat. The next few pages are just a huge exposition dump talking about what's happened in the past year. Mina started her own Lonely Hearts Club band, and got a boyfriend as well. Knuckles and the Chaotix had to leave Angel Island after Eggman took it over. Fiona Fox apparently exists and isn't a robot this time. Cause this is a comic book, what are you expecting? Antoine and Bunny seemingly drift apart and split up. For some reason I'm thinking of Mecha Car and it's boldly flee. And meanwhile, I'm just sitting here thinking, now how cool would it be if there was like a weekly comic spin-off about that past year? You know, told in real time maybe, show the events themselves as they happen. Maybe focus on some side characters, give them their time in the spotlight, you know, develop them, make them more interesting and endearing to the audience. Nah, screw it, that'll never work. Sally wants to talk to Sonic before a paparazzo shows up asking for a photo of the two. What do you mean, iceberg dead ahead? Sally knows the huge responsibility of leadership is, well, a huge responsibility, and seeing Sonic as her consorts, yeah, they got engaged a while back, she wants him to join her in leading the city. Sonic doesn't want to due to the war with Eggman, but Sally's like, yeah, but I don't want to lose you for real, and there are more people willing to fight this war now than there were before we started. Nevertheless, Sonic stands his ground, and here we get to the most controversial moments, possibly in Archie's Sonic ever. Sally slaps Sonic in front of an audience of hundreds, if not thousands, including all of their friends. Ooh, this is finally my time! The slap heard round the fandom, a moment that sent the entire Archie Sonic community into an uproar at the time. A completely random, out-of-character moment, like, virtually everybody in the fandom agrees with that, so what could you possibly have to add to this conversation? Sally is canonically a teenager. Oh yeah, I knew you could never wait, what? Her family was overthrown by a trusted minister and broken up, pretty much leaving her in charge of the few members of the kingdom that weren't slaves to the New World Order, when she was 5. For the next 10 or so years, she fought a bloody rebellion that brought everyone close to failure and death countless times, knowing she was wearing the biggest bullseye. And to top off the hell that was the reconstruction effort that followed the victory, she thought the man she loved was dead for an entire year. No frickin' duh is she gonna be like this. No frickin' duh is she gonna crumble like a china shop after a bull. Even with her comment calling Sonic selfish, Sonic's rebuttal is, I threw myself into a black hole generator to keep this planet safe. I'm lucky to be alive at all despite losing a year off this rock we call home, and at this point I just want this friggin' war to end! How is any of that selfish?! So you tell me, Dinterloading, what is so out of character about this scene? She slapped Sonic? Dimter? Yeah? Get in the corner. Okay. However, if you think I'm going to be one-sided here, let me just say, Sally is kind of right. Sonic is selfish. He's also very headstrong, cocky, and arrogant. He has good intentions, even if sometimes they're not seen as that by others. He has his morals, and he's going to stick to them come hell or high water. Well, maybe not water, but you know where I'm going. Basically, you could sum up his entire personality with a line from, of all things, Sonic and the Black Knight.
Guess I can't be the hero every time.
So, yeah, Sally is just as much in the right here. Sonic's come back after being gone for so long, and now he wants to rush back into battle again like nothing's changed. Same old Eggman fights and all. Except that's not how that works! On top of that, he's rarely considered the actions of what he does from the views of anyone except him. When he shows up in Black Knight, he sees this Dark Souls guy over here surrounding him and someone else with his hordes, and yet he has just as much focus on the chili dogs while he's fighting them. Heck, in terms of out-of-characterness, the Wait One Cotton Pickin' Second line was more out of character. In the words of Cinema Wins, there's no arguments. It's not confusing, it's not grasping at straws, it's in the narrative. This moment goes down as one of the biggest problems amongst the dissenters, when it's actually one of the most emotionally stirring and theme-appropriate scenes if you're paying attention. But I think I've gone on long enough with this rant. All that into account, Sally gives Sonic a choice. Retire from this war or break up with Sally. And I have to give credit to this one panel. Succinct, simple silence, and even for a comic, you could hear a pin drop. I did say John Gray's a good artist, didn't I? And thus our comic ends with Sally running off crying. Then he could have you all to himself! Well, that's an image! I'm gonna have to figure out a way to... Oh, look, it's pajamas! I'm starting to get the impression John Gray really likes Sonic the comic. Archie Sonic number 134 isn't a good comic to me, but it's not a bad one either. The writing feels like a soap opera at times and is totally dissonant from John Gray's art, and I think the biggest issue most people have just has arguments that don't really hold much water to me. That said, I do at least enjoy the Fleetway cameos. Seriously, go read Sonic the Comic online. It is freaking good. Anyways, I got other things to do, so let's see. I haven't played Rayman in a while. Of course it's loading. Puzzled? Can I get out of the corner now? Nope. Damn it.